Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is David from Hong Kong Trade Development Council, Singapore office, HKTDC. Thank you for joining the post-COVID era, the path to opportunities in healthcare organized by HKTDC. In this one-hour webinar, we'll be sharing opportunities that we can provide in healthcare industry, including industry professionals and investors. We are also very glad to invite Livinguard to share more on their hygiene technologies and potential applications. To kickstart, may I remind you that microphones for all attendees will be muted. Throughout the whole event, if you have any questions, please enter via the Q&A box and we will address them at the last part of the webinar. The webinar will be recorded as well. Without further ado, may I invite Ms. Vivienne Chee, Director, Singapore of HKTDC, to share more on how to enter international markets with our platform and our very new inaugural event taking place in November this year, the Asia Summit on Global Health. Vivienne, please.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Vivienne from the HKTDC Singapore branch. Thank you for joining us today. So to begin with, for some of you who may not know what HKTDC is, we're the Hong Kong Trade Development Council, a statutory body established in 1966 in Hong Kong, and we help SMEs to do international business while exploring business opportunities via Hong Kong. And we promote Hong Kong as the Asia's business platform and services hub. Across the world, we have 50 offices, as well as globally, as well as 13 offices in mainland China. So under the new norm, over the past year, we actually held 2 virtual events, and there were sourcing events called the Summer Sourcing Week, as well as the Autumn Sourcing Week. During this event, we featured AI business matching services, as well as online meeting functions. During the show, we actually featured products such as houseware, lighting, electronics, ICT, gifts and premium, as well as medical healthcare products. During the virtual shows, we also offered Click to Match, a brand new AI technology-enabled business matching platform, which allows you to have instant chat, video conferencing, and online expert talks. Although many suppliers and buyers still prefer the physical presence, this self-service platform allowed our buyers and suppliers to enjoy an alternative, hassle-free online sourcing and networking experience. So this is a screen grab of the buyers talking to our suppliers, and some of them actually came up to our offices where we could conduct the virtual business matching with our branch office colleagues, helping with technical issues should they encounter. Over 3,000 or nearly 4,000 exhibitors participated in our virtual shows, and we welcome over 40,000 buyers all around the world. We also arrange more than 13,500 business matching meetings, as well as hosted 30+ webinars. In 2021, these are a list of all the exhibitions that we will be organized, mostly in hybrid, but when it's possible, because now that the COVID situation is very much better in Hong Kong, we hope to bring back the physical shows in Hong Kong. For the services industry, we also organize conferences. Among them will be our Asian Summit on Global Health in November. So for all the upcoming events, please go to hktdc.com to see what are the latest upcoming events. In October this year, later this year, we also will organize the International Medical and Healthcare Fair. In 2019, the edition, we had more than 300 exhibitors and welcomed more than 12,000 trade fair buyers from 61 countries and regions. And we hope by October this year, we will hold the event physically in Hong Kong. Next, I would like to share with you our inaugural Asia Summit on Global Health, scheduled for 24th November 2021. This conference will touch on innovation and investment in healthcare. Next, the rising healthcare market. A recent study by Deloitte shows there is a surge in global healthcare spending. From 2020 to 2024, we see a compounded annual growth rate of 4%, up from 2.8% from 2015 to 2019. The obvious reasons for this rising demand is due to aging population, rising awareness of healthcare and wellness, and also accessibility to healthcare services. Then there's the advancement of technology and clinical services, as well as expansion of public and private healthcare systems. Consumers have also accelerated the disruption in healthcare. This is due to changing habits and becoming more health conscious, and they are more receptive to telemedicine, using technology for health monitoring. Plus, a trusted clinician relationship remains paramount. In the Asia market, it's going to be huge. The total estimated healthcare spending is estimated to exceed US 4 trillion by 2024. A report by International Data Corporation shows that Asia Pacific healthcare technology, or IT, sector spending is forecast to increase by compounded growth of 7% from US 12.2 billion in 2019 to 14.9 billion by 2020, with China spending the most, followed by Singapore and Australia. So there is definitely ample room to grow. In Asia, we are home to 60% of the world's population, and in 2030, they would be aged 65 and older. Also, there'll be an increasing zest for quality healthcare, especially by the middle class. The lagging public healthcare spending will also spur reforms in universal healthcare access. So we see the private sector leading the way in growing the healthcare industry. In Chinese mainland, the landscape right now is also, we also see an aging population and by 2040, 22% of China's population is expected to be 65 plus years old. There will be also a growing burden of chronic healthcare lifestyle, and we see a growth in commercial healthcare. Healthcare insurance. Right now, only 6% of private health insurance right now, only about, according to Ping An Group, one of the largest insurance healthcare group, noted that there's only 6% that constitutes the private healthcare insurance. So there is a demand, there will definitely be demand in healthcare insurance. The Chinese per capita health spending will also see great potential, and we see the healthcare spending rising from about $24 in 2020 to 1,323 in 2019. And this is far below the average of US 7,000 from the world's top healthcare countries. They include the United States, Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, Sweden, Denmark, Luxembourg, and Australia. Therefore, we see potential for significant growth ahead. Then there is the Greater Bay Area, which is the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Bay Area, which leads in the mainland healthcare spending. Guangdong is mainland China's top spending in medicine drugs by province, reaching 187 billion in 2017. Per capita health expenditure in Guangdong also rose by 160% from 2011 to 2019. And for healthcare services, especially for private hospitals, we are also seeing an increase in the numbers over the years. Next, in mainland China, we also see a high adoption of digital health. In fact, among the China healthcare professionals, the usage rate has reached 94%. Also in China, we have several distinguished scientists and solutions that are coming out from there. In 2015, there was a Nobel Prize winner who discovered by using herbal medicine to derive an anti-malaria drug from a sweet wormwood. And also in China, we now have 3 China-based pharmaceutical companies that have developed the COVID-19 vaccines. And they are Sinopharm, which are in use in China, Bahrain, Seychelles, and UAE, as well as Sinovac. Their vaccine is in use in China and Malaysia. And that is the CantoSino Biologistics COVID vaccine, and that's in use for emergency use in China, Mexico, and Pakistan. Investment in the biotech is also on the rise. It has reached 17 billion in 2018. And for the first half of 2019, the world's 10 biotechnology IPOs were also Chinese companies. Together, they raised more than 1.6 billion in Hong Kong, and now they are all listed in Hong Kong. So the above snapshots present both challenges and potentials for the global healthcare industry. As such, HKTDC had decided to organize this inaugural Asia Summit on Global Health to provide a platform, and help industry players to capture business opportunities as well as to facilitate international collaborations. Next, Hong Kong strategic positions. In 2018, the Hong Kong Exchange and Clearing Limited, the Hong Kong Exchange, in short, introduced a number of reforms to allow pre-profit biotech companies and innovative companies to list in the Hong Kong Exchange. And right now, there are a host of healthcare companies listed in Hong Kong. They come from a wide range of sectors, including biotechnology, pharmaceuticals, medical devices, medical services, including hospitals and clinics, contract research organizations, contract development and manufacturing organizations, and digital health. It aims to broaden Hong Kong's listing regime and to attract listings of a new generation of biotech companies, and amid this growing competition from the US and China Stock Exchange. You can see at the bottom of the slide a list of some of the companies that have been listed or raised their IPOs in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is also a unique platform for R&D cooperation, especially in the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area. There's also unique advantages for clinical research. Clinical trials from Hong Kong is simultaneously recognized for drug registration purpose by various drug regulatory bodies, including the US FDA, the European Medicine Agencies, as well as China's National Medical Products Administration. It is also an ideal testing base for overseas clinical technologies before being adopted in the GBA. Last, Hong Kong is also an attractive base for international medtech and pharma conglomerates. Hong Kong is also an excellent position to fill knowledge disparity between Chinese mainland and overseas, to fill the gap in genes and biomedical information between China and mainland China and overseas. There's a world-class biotech talent in Hong Kong, as well as world-famous universities with a pool of biotech talents with strong R&D capabilities, as well as universities engaged in forward-looking biomedical research. Then there's also a comprehensive institutional support. Among them is the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park and Cyberport to foster and support tech innovations, SMEs, and startups. In fact, Hong Kong Science and Technology Park is one of the drivers of biomedicine technology development in Hong Kong and is committed to facilitate and convert high-value medical research from trial stage to commercialization. Hong Kong Science and Technology Park is currently home to more than 100 biomedicine companies. Also, there is a vibrant service sector in Hong Kong. Hong Kong has a reliable and transparent legal system with strong cluster of experienced legal services. This, along with a robust intellectual property regime with strong IP enforcement, provides a safe legal environment for IP-related business. These are favorable factors that Hong Kongers can assume as a role of bridging biomedical enterprises in expanding their scope of R&D and services from the GBA countries to the countries along the Belt and Road. So just to give you a snapshot of what the Asian Summit of Global Health will be. It will be held on 24th November in Hall 5 of the Convention at Exhibition Center. We expect an attendance of more than 1,000 plus attendees, including online participation. This event will be in a hybrid mode. We will have conferences, project pitching, exhibition, roundtable meetings, as well as advisory services. The summit will also bring together senior government officials, as well as policy makers, investors, business leaders, financial and professional service providers, as well as renowned academia, as well as investors. The aims of Asia Summit and Global Health is positioned as Asia's thought leadership conference on health, investment, and innovation, an advocacy to international collaboration on global health issues, as well as a must-attend event for global leaders, for investors and innovators for healthcare, a conduit for for deal flow, as well as business matching for global healthcare sector, and a knowledge sharing community for global pioneers in healthcare. The full day program will comprise of high-level symposium on healthcare investment outlook, healthcare innovations and technology, showcasing and updates from policy makers under the new normal. There will be dialogues with global pioneers in health, business advisors offered by industry experts, as well as global pitching cum networking sessions. Participants can also opt for site trips to the Greater Bay Area and local visits in Hong Kong to biotechnology clusters to enrich their program. So we invite you to join the Asia Summit Global Health community for year-round updates on this conference. Potential speakers will come from various international conglomerates, be it finance or investment related, as well as medical, healthcare, and innovation practitioners. And why should you attend? Well, to learn about the future on healthcare and cross-disciplinary collaborations on public healthcare, as well as to get regulatory updates from policymakers and then explore immense business opportunities in Asia, including mainland China, as well as to visit the health tech ecosystem in the Greater Bay Area. Finally, to explore partnership opportunities with different players and stakeholders of the healthcare ecosystems and clusters. Next, to also join in discussions, to connect with investors, and to meet with global pioneers in health with face-to-face dialogue sessions. Finally, to also meet business advisors to power up your knowledge. The audience profiles will bring together key players and decision makers. And like I mentioned earlier, we expect more than 1,000 attendees at this international event. So mark your diary for 24th November 2021. Mission details will be available soon at this website. Next, I'd like to share with you about how companies can adjust to the new normal, and we at TDC is here to support you. During this time of travel restrictions where physical business is impacted and supply chain is disrupted, internet searching can be very time consuming for looking for new contacts, especially B2B buyers. So what we have done is revamped our HKTDC platform, which has a registered number of 2 million buyers from all over the world. And we have 130,000 quality suppliers coming from different trade fairs as well as advertisers in our platform. This digital platform offers you 24/7 round campaign for you to source or to look for new suppliers, new buyers, and connect to the business trade fair suppliers and buyers. These are not a consumer platform, but a B2B platform. And where are the origins of these inquiries to our platform? They come from mainly from the United States, Hong Kong, India, United Kingdom, and Canada. You can also see the geographical distribution of these inquiries from this pie chart. So if you are a manufacturer looking to sell to the world, you can consider advertising at our platform called sourcing.tdc.com, and you can advertise with a mere small amount of US $450 per month on this website, with 3 megabytes of media space for you to upload your product photos or advertise with your banner ad. Recently, Livinguard, which we are working with, has also advertised at our platform. This is a sample page of their listing. Thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at this website, our Singapore office, hktdc.org, or call us at our local office. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivienne. And this is indeed a very informative introduction of the healthcare industry in Hong Kong and in nearby regions such as GBA and the new event, Asia Summit on Global Health, where we'll expect 1,000 participants from over the world. So in case, if you're interested in an event in November this year, please feel free to visit www.asiasummitglobalhealth.com to understand more and sign up for new updates. After COVID-19, people are increasingly concerned about how face masks and the nearby environment can protect them from catching the virus. Therefore, may I invite another speaker, Dr. Amit Bhattacharya, Senior Vice President Operations from Livinguard, to present their technologies on how to protect the users, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic and the potential applications. Livinguard is a company partnering with Temasek Foundation in distributing their face masks for free to all residents in Singapore recently, if you may know. So Dr. Amit, the stage is over to you, please.
Oh, thank you very much. And I'm really thankful to such a beautiful concept that HKTDC is actually organizing, and this platform where we are talking about how to really resume the work, the normal life after this COVID situation is really great. And I'm very thankful to the organization, to the organizers, to call me onto this stage, and let's have our view of the Livinguard technology on this platform. So thank you very much to all, to David and Vivienne. So when we talk about Livinguard, or when we think about Livinguard, think of a situation when we cannot meet together. The COVID has changed the scenario completely. So the way people used to meet together, the way people used to greet together, we used to share the platform on symposium, conferences, everything has changed. What is other than this, what has changed majorly is the way we look at the business, the way we used to conduct the business. And also like how do we, the leading the business and all those things has changed. So Livinguard is a company who is committed to bring the society and back to the normal. Definitely it is going to be the new normal, but then how close we can match the earlier days. So that is the commitment that Livinguard is actually putting into the platform. So to protection that Livinguard is bringing to global, right? So that's the idea of today's talk. And we will have certain topics to discuss today. I would ask so that I can talk about what has changed the slide from here to the next one. Thank you. This is coming up. So this is the agenda for today's talk. Like how what is Livinguard? What are the principles behind it? What are the technology? How do we use the technology? What are the proofs? And certain very important parameters when we talk about Livinguard technology, like whether it is EPA approved, how do we really prove that this particular product in developments of Livinguard for air filtration, and also like what is the major presence and how do we really showcase our presence in the PPE environment, which is like protection, establish ourselves into that area, and what's important to you. So this is the complete agenda of the discussion today. May I ask Mr. Q to change the slide here from here? Yeah. Q, next slide, please. Yeah. So this is what we talk about Livinguard. So Livinguard is a hygiene technology company, and we have a very sharp focus on reinventing the hygiene in the 21st century. And how do we do that? So we bring our technology to where it is the most needed. So when we talk about Livinguard, we are a kind of like everybody who is working in Livinguard. We have a pledge. Like, how do we protect our planet with those nasty microorganisms? You talk about bacteria, you talk about like nasty viruses, you talk about nasty fungi, or whatever is like creating any kind of nuisance to the human being. How do we protect our lovely people from those? So that's the idea behind Livinguard. Now, we also hope by applying Livinguard technology to solutions that lessens the health risk and economic impact, especially on this COVID crisis that has actually shaken the world. And how do we do that? By enabling people to protect themselves so that they return to work and take back their lives, which is going to be the new normal. So how do we, as I said earlier, how do we really match the new normal with the condition that we used to have, the condition that we used to enjoy, right? So how do we really go there, right? So next slide, please. Thank you. So when you talk about Livinguard technology, the technology is so versatile that you can think of applying the technology into all different areas that you can see on the screen. For example, laundry, whether it is industrial laundry, home laundry, or for example, like when you travel. So the hygiene goes along with you with Livinguard technology. Third, can you make a paper that is like self-disinfecting? Yes, you can do with this Livinguard technology. How do you really apply the ultimate protection on your so for example personal care, right? For example, your swab, that is, or makeup removers. So you can do this by Livinguard technology. Have you ever imagined that in the toilet, like when you have those tissue paper, are those like which is like highly contaminated with the microorganisms? Can you think of a situation where like those tissue papers will not be contaminated by any kind of bacteria or viruses? Yes, Livinguard can also enable you to do this. You talk about like socks that smells. So can you get a protection also that like your socks doesn't really cause odor for the long use? Yes, the Livinguard can do that. Even for the shoes or for like hospital workwear, or for example, like the normal gloves, everything, this highly flexible technology can convert any ordinary material like this, what you see on the screen, to a highly disinfecting material, which not only disinfect, but also disinfect continuously and permanently. So that is what Livinguard offers to the users. Thank you, Q. Next slide, please. Now, it is very important to little bit explain that what this Livinguard technology is. So as I just said in the previous slide, we offer the permanent disinfection when it is being done by a chemical. So three things happen. One, your chemical is toxic. They stay onto the surface, and then they also affect the users. It is not going to be permanent anyways. Like you put any kind of a disinfectant chemical, whether it is IPA or it is chlorine based or whatever, like you can think of, is not going to be permanent. But this Livinguard technology, when you inculminate into any of sort, for example, any kind of textile, tissue paper, paper, normal paper, writing printed paper, so this will make it a kind of a self-infecting, self-disinfecting, and also permanently they do it. So how do we really achieve this? So first, it destroys bacteria and viruses. and it has been tested against SARS-CoV-2 also against the viruses like influenza, the bacteria like tuberculosis, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. So these are like some deadly organisms against which you can get the protection. You can think of the protection and you get the protection. Then, since this is not a chemical which leaches on the surface, which stay on the surface, so it gives you a physical disruption of the cell membrane, means only those organisms will see the Livinguard technology, will react with Livinguard technology, and finally they get destroyed by Livinguard technology, who are actually coming into the close contact with the technology applied on any surface, right? So there's no toxicity that is available, which is leached out of the surface, which is coming out of the surface. So that is why like it is a non-toxic or non-poisoning. People can still achieve few of the characters that Livinguard technology provides, but they can only do this by using some heavy metals. Now, yes, you can definitely disinfect few material with using heavy metals, but Livinguard took an oath that we will not put any heavy metal in any of our products, even including silver, because we know that ultimately those heavy metal will go into the environment, then it will go to the bioaccumulation mode, and finally you can have some non-sustainable kind of an outcome when you use heavy metal. So Livinguard technology is a non-heavy metal based technology. It's purely organic technology, so that you don't really have any issue in terms of the sustainability. So this is non-toxic and skin safe. It passes GLP standards and all. So this is the last point. Next slide, please, Q, if you can. Thank you. Yep. Now, all of this, what we talk about, is all scientifically proven. Like it destroys more than 99.9% of SARS-CoV-2, which is scientifically proven. And where do we prove it? So you can see 3 major universities and institutes in the world. They have proven the technology, which is one of them is Free University of Berlin. Another one is RWTH Aachen University, and the third one is the University of Arizona. Now, I hope that some of you may be aware that in University of Arizona, there's a scientist called Dr. Charles Gerber. He's also known as Dr. Germs because he has done tremendous work in disinfecting technologies, in identifying certain organisms on different kind of niche or environment or substrate. For example, the lift button or the mobile phones. Now, today, you know that there's a lot of bacteria viruses present, and this principle actually goes behind Dr. Charles Gerber. So Dr. Charles Gerber, he independently took one of our fabric treated with Livinguard technology, and he proved that, yes, it works against coronaviruses. Then Free University of Berlin, this is like something which we always talk about. So the institute, the scientists, they have taken multiple technologies available in the market. They started testing one by one, and they proved that Livinguard treated fabric actually works against SARS-CoV-2. So these are independent kind of certification from these bodies, which help enable us to tell all of the people in the planet that yes, our technology works against SARS-CoV-2. I think this is like one of the few technologies available during the COVID pandemic, which gave people to the level of protection that was needed. Right? Next slide, please. Coming up, thank you. So a little bit of the mechanism that how the Livinguard technology works. When we say that we are chemical free, we are not really giving any leaching into the environment. So how do we do that? The concept is simple, but the difficulty is how do you apply? So if you, I'm not sure whether you are aware, but let me explain this fact. So any living particle has got proteins in it. So the bacteria and viruses are also, because these are all like, the bacteria is actually a living cell, but virus is not. But at least this is the link between the live and the dead particles. So there's bound to have some fatty acids and protein molecule. Now these protein molecules in the cell wall, cell membrane of the bacteria and viruses, they are negatively charged. Now because they have the negative charges, The Livinguard technology offers a positive charge on the surface, and the positive charges are set in a patented way so that we can enable any surface to have multi-billion positive charges on the surface, much more than one bacteria and viruses can have. So these negative charges are attracted by the positive charges on the Livinguard technology. Finally, when it attaches to the surface, then the negative charges are kind of neutralized by the positive charges of Livinguard technology. And once the cell wall or cell membrane get neutralized, then the structure is destabilized, or the membrane or the cell wall. And finally, the bacteria has to lose its viability. So that is the fundamental principle. People can still do that by using heavy metal or by using some kind of a leaching of some chemicals. But the beauty is, without leaching, without using heavy metal, how do you do this? How can you attain such a high positive charges, high concentration of positive charges on the surface? That is where the Livinguard is pioneer in doing that. So without leaching, this can disrupt the cell wall and the membranes of the bacteria and viruses, right? Maybe in the next illustration slide, Q, if you can help me with the next slide, please. This is a real kind of electron microscopy image, if you can see. So the fabric, the fiber, the first one, this is a textile fiber, which has been coated with Livinguard technology with a very specific way of coating onto the fabric. Then you have bacteria approaching to the fabric. Then finally, there's a close interaction between the fabric and Livinguard technology on the fabric versus bacteria. And then you see those stars on the picture, which is like a destroyed cells of the bacteria because of the charge disruption. And due to the charge disruption, the cell actually exploded and the cell lysis occurs. So that is how the fiber coated with Livinguard technology destroys any kind of negatively charged bacteria and viruses. So simple process, but the beauty is, how do you really have that many charges on the surface without using any sort of metal or any sort of chemicals which leaches out into the environment? Thank you, Q. So next slide, please. You see these balls coming up with the name of the agencies, and these are all big multi-national agencies and very, very powerful agencies. So these have a kind of given their certification to our technology. Some of the name that you can see, the World Health Organization, and then these bodies have given certification to different product lines, which is again coated with Livinguard technology. Like EPA has just recently given us the approval for the fabric. That will come a little later in the presentation. But other than that, you can see NSF, TUV, EWOG, Nelson Lab, University of Arizona. So these are all big names who certified our product, right? So that's why we are very confidently say that Livinguard technology works. Next slide, please. Thank you. It's coming up. Now, this is what we all are now talking about in the company, outside the company, even the people who talk about. So whenever you have a disinfecting material, if you want to have your presence in US, or also EPA's agency, which is Environmental Protection Agency, that works worldwide. But essentially in US, if you want to work on something, then for any disinfecting technology that works against bacteria and viruses, you have to get it approved by EPA. Now, EPA process is pretty difficult. I will talk about it in the next slide. But majorly, when you talk about conventional antimicrobial treatments, so essentially there is no EPA, since there is no defined performance measurement offered by the competition or which are using conventional antimicrobial treatments. And why this happens? Because mostly those technologies are bacteriostatic. They just inhibit the growth, and then you can use it to keep your fabric fresh, rather and odor control kind of thing that you can give. But actually, you cannot really disinfect any material with the conventional technology. But Livinguard, on the other hand, you see, 99.999%. This is pretty tough in achieving in 10 minutes. So the Livinguard technology achieves that. That's why we call it self-disinfecting technology. And it also kills 99.9% of the bacteria. That is why we call it like self-sanitizing systems. And these performance are pretty important if you want to really achieve EPA registration, right? In the next slide, we will tell you that how do we really, how cumbersome is the process. Yeah. So this is the kind of a picture where you can see a flow chart which talks about the difficulty in getting any product approved, especially if it is a textile, like for EPA approval. Now you see this protocol is based out in basically 2 phases and 1 test. So in first phase, you have 6 different steps. And the phase 2 is basically the inoculation step. And this phase 1, which has 6 steps, so you have to repeat it 30 times, means 30 multiplied by 6, 180 steps that you have to follow. And ultimately what you have to prove after 30 washes is like when you inoculate with bacteria and organic matter for 12 inoculations, and in between, like your dry time between inoculations, also you need to give for 2 hours. Still, you need to achieve more than 5 log reduction after 10 minutes. So then you can think of like when you are putting a lot of bacteria onto the surface again and again, 12 inoculations. And then you're also adding a lot of organic material, for example, bovine serum, blood, grease, oil, soya. So EPA defined protocol. So then normally these organic matter, they kind of block the Livinguard, or not the Livinguard technology, but any other technology which is based out of chemical or heavy metals. But Livinguard technology actually survive and passes all of these inoculation along with the dirty condition that you apply while you apply this protocol. And finally, the outcome is like still you are able to see more than 5 log reduction after 10 minutes. Now this is the beauty. So this protocol itself is so well defined. It's so kind of multi-steps process that people normally don't want to go by this round. But Livinguard, because we had already a lot of certification, we know that we had a full confidence on our product, on our technology. So then we actually applied for doing this, and finally we come out with the flying colors. So the next slide, please. Thank you. Yeah. So finally, EPA has registered our product under the registration number 95700/2. And this is the only self-disinfecting textile today, which is approved under EPA, right? The pattern textile, now, since now you have a textile with EPA approved technology, now you can just think of the enormous application that you can do with the textile, right? So we can think of like you have the textile, which is EPA approved. So you can use it as a hospital workwear, you can use it as like curtains, you can use it as like your household items, you can use it as like your gloves or mask or anything. Like now you have the technology on the textile fabric, which is being proved by EPA, which is such a robust protocol. And now like you are there, right? Next slide, please. There are a few questions coming up. I will take all the questions after this end of my presentation. So this is when you have the EPA. What about the text? So we just talked about the textile, the Livinguard technology when you apply on the textile. But other than that, we are also present in many new and important applications. For example, air filtration is one of them. So what are the challenges? Why do you need to really clean the indoor air? The challenges are very high. So the high concentration of pollutants and microbial contamination of the indoor air is present. Specifically, if you stay nearby a hospital or any area where you can think of like the high population of microorganisms. In nearby hospital area, this is a major problem. But also like in terms of like the hotel, if you have living nearby a hotel or any other area where you have a lot of cooling towers, then you can think of an infection which is like Listeria monocytosis cytogens infection. So these normally typically present in the indoor air. So it is very important to get rid of these. So standard air conditioner, air filter do not deactivate bacteria and fungi, but during the run of the operation, actually this concentrates a lot of microorganisms on the surface of filter. Now, when you switch it off, and after like when you again switch it on the next day when you go to your office or at your home, so what happens basically, the carrying capacity of the filter is limited. So this actually blows out a lot of microorganisms in the air. So if those are like dangerous pathogens or dangerous microorganisms, so then you have like the full range of problems because they can contaminate you in the indoor. So what we did, we tried to figure out how do we apply Livinguard technology on the air filter. So when we did this, so those buildup of microorganisms will not be there, even if it is there. So this Livinguard technology will continuously kill them, and whatever comes out when you open the Livinguard, when you open the air conditioner after some time, so these organisms are already dead, and this will not disinfect you. So that's the idea we came up, and we came up with this air filtration. So you see, this filtration efficiency improvement is also one of the features that we give in the Livinguard air filtration. So you have COVID-19 situation, TB, chickenpox, or whatever, like the Livinguard technology on the air filtration gives you ultimate protection because this kills, this destroys, deactivates bacteria and viruses on the surface continually, right? So there is, even though there is a buildup, ultimately those bacteria and viruses will be killed. And also we, not only we give the air filtration efficiency, which is better, but also we kill the microorganisms present on the air filtration, which build up with time. But also we give the wash durability on air filters, right? So if you have a tendency of like cleaning your filter with just water, then also we give the water durability because Livinguard technology doesn't leaches, so that it doesn't run out of your filters. Next slide, please. Q. So some of the problem, we just talked about air filtration. Now, the major problem that we all have seen during COVID-19 pandemic is the problem of disposable masks. So there are some numbers. So I would say in 2020, we estimated nearly 1.56 billion of the face mask will be going to ocean. Probably we have already crossed this figure, I'm not sure, but this was an estimate and we probably have already crossed it. So disposable mask, because it has got the plastic in it, the polypropylene material, because the N95 filter, it has got some plastic in it. So this will take 450 years to degrade. And this will be a significant source of pollution, not only in 2020, but also like in the coming years, right? Because this will not go so easily. People will still be using masks. Some of them will be kind of the disposable mask, and then this will end up in the sea, and then like you definitely will have pollution. So how do we tackle this problem in Livinguard? So since Livinguard technology enables you to wear the mask again and again. So Livinguard face mask or the self-disinfecting face mask, which you just wash once in a week, because we have seen that the bioburden to achieve to wash this face mask doesn't really build up more in less than 7 days. So you just have to wash the face mask in once in a week, so that your mask long last for more than 6 months. And that is how, because you're reusing your face mask again and again, this Livinguard face mask. So then you don't really use a lot of face mask, which is disposable. And that is how you contribute to the environment, right? So very, very important feature. We just not talk about only protection. We also talk about the protection of the planet with Livinguard face mask, right? So with Livinguard face mask, the main pillars are following. So one is the protection that is ultimate, because we kill more than 99.9% of viruses. It is reusable. You can use it again and again, at least 30 times. And you have to wash it just once in a week. So means like you can use it for 7 months, more than 6 months. So it makes it sustainable and also safe. Now you also talk about the price. So you can just compare one Livinguard face mask and how many disposable face masks that you have to use if you're not using Livinguard face mask, right? So this is the goal of the company, which is Livinguard, that how do you protect people and also the planet, right? The disease will come and go, but the pollution will stay. So how do you really remove that pollution after the epidemic is over, right? So we are bound to do this. We are committed to do this. Every employee in Livinguard. Next slide, please. Yeah. A solution that widely adopted. It's already adopted. So you see, like you talk about some of the thing that has already came up. The foundation like Temasek was the biggest one. We call them our partners because they have, I think they also have a pledge, like we will protect the people and we also protect the planet. How do they do that? So they have distributed millions of face masks to the people, right? So one free reusable high-tech mask for each Singapore resident. That's the kind of commitment of Temasek Foundation that they have shown to the people. Mask may be used daily up to 7 months with weekly washes. So this has already come up into the local news. And very recently in February, people have already, already might have seen, the Livinguard teams up with Alfa Romeo Racing for 2021 season. So these are like two major outcomes in February 2021 from Livinguard. Next slide, please. This is our street mask. The beauty of this mask is it gives you protection. It gives you complete protection. It gives you regular protection or like timely protection, but also doing this protection doesn't really affect your breathability. So the breathability of this face mask is very high, but the protection is not really limited because the fabric is the same. The technology is the same, Livinguard. So it kills the viruses beautifully, right? So this is the face mask. You can see it is a 2-layered face mask covering for everyday personal use, we call it. And this gives you protection. This gives you safety, sustainable, because again, it is also reusable. And the most important thing with this face mask is like the comfort, because the loop, the ear nose clip, the way you look at it, the when you wear it, like this is a kind of a status symbol, I would say. Like when you wear this face mask, this looks good onto your face. So that's how it is. And the most important thing is like the breathability, which is very, very high. So you will not have any problem of breathing when you wear this face mask. Next, please. Thank you. Now, some people, they might be, they might use to have more protection by giving a little bit of compromise on the breathability. For those who want real protection or even ultimate protection than to what you offer by the street mask, they can go for Pro Mask. Now, this Pro Mask is 3-layered face covering, so which also filters more than 95% particle. So antimicrobial, reusable, but also filters, right? More than 95% particle. So this is the beauty of Pro Mask. But even in this case, we could offer people the kind of highest level of breathability, what is available in the market, right? So this not only gives you protection against bacteria, fungi, viruses, but also from the particles that is available as pollutants. But also like here also, you can use it 30 times. And this is comfortable. So breathability is good, we call it, because this is what you ultimately want, right? The next slide, please. Yeah, so in the Pro Mask, if you see, like we have the 3 protection layers. So the first outer layer is the first physical barrier. So whatever bacteria and fungi or pollens or whatever, like the viruses, they come into the close contact with this outer layer. So they're getting trapped over there. Then the middle layer. So middle layer is a filter, actual filter, that is N95 filter that gives you protection by filtering out a lot of the pollutants and bacteria and viruses. Then you have the inner layer. The inner layer is not only disinfecting, but also gives you the high level of comfort because of 100% cotton that is being used. So both the layer, outer and inner layer, they give you protection because they can disinfect the surface by itself. They can kill microorganisms. And also, we have done some kind of a the Livinguard technology has been applied in such a way that the outside fabric is a little bit of hydrophobic, so that the bacteria and viruses doesn't stay onto the fabric on the outer layer. And the inner layer, because of its 100% cotton kind of fabric, So this gives you the very comfort feeling when you wear it. And also the breathability is not very much compromised when you compare the other mask in the market. So I would call that the protection has arrived by Livinguard with a lot of style. So let me put it this way. Thanks, Q. The next slide, please. Now these are some coverage, the media coverage that you can see here. It's a global news. The protection that Livinguard is giving by their face mask, like Street Pro Ultra, like in Europe, in USA, in India, like there are so many TV channels that has already showed the kind of the protection that Livinguard is giving. Also the print newspaper, right? So where like you can see a lot of media coverage, right? So this is available for all of you if you want to watch. Next, please. Yeah. Now, one of the concept here is like the Livinguard face mask destroys more than how many are there? So 10 lakhs bacteria and viruses particle. Then to the particle that you already have in your sneeze, right? So when you have that much of protection inbuilt, then you can think of the kind of protection that we give. So this way, like Livinguard face mask has replaced the equivalent of 3 billion single-use masks globally, right? It's not so easy to really give that kind of protection. So people may say that when you are sneezing, like there's a lot of viruses already there. So how do you protect that? So in Livinguard, we have engineered the technology onto the face mask in such a way that it is already almost 10 lakhs times more than to the viruses in the actual sneeze. So that level of protection. Next slide, please, Q. Yeah. So one of the magazine, that is BioBasher, so they have actually taken a lot of face masks available in the market, and they have kind of benchmarked all of the face masks, and Livinguard was found to be one of the best here. So this is what has been shown in this particular slide. So you see, this is they have categorized it FFP1, and then like they have also given a lot of protection level, like 100% of filtering efficiency. So this is what this independent magazine has produced, and they have projected in one of the page of their magazine, right? So this actually proves indirectly that the people already started believing in the technology, and that's why I think the Livinguard technology, the face mask of with built-in Livinguard technology, is gaining a lot of popularity in the market. Next slide, please. Now, other than face mask, what are the other applications that you can think of? As I said in the beginning of my presentation, Livinguard technology offers a lot of flexibility. So you can think of a surface and Livinguard technology can be applied there. So that's the beauty. And how do we achieve that? So we have our R&D facilities in Jog, which is like our central headquarters for R&D. Then we are also present in India, and they are like in 24 hours, 24/7, like we do a lot of research on how do we improve our technology, and then how do we really apply our technology into different areas. Now we can say with a lot of confidence that we can apply our technology to consumer hygiene, for example, laundry additives, cleaning wipes, sanitary pads, apparels, which give you long-lasting odor control properties. We also clean water, by the way. We purify water. We destroy a lot of bacteria in water so that we can give very pure form of water to the people. Like we are providing these filters in form of like 100 LPH, 300 LPH systems. We also offer tabletop filters. Currently in India, these filters has been installed in 1,600 places. You talk about railway platforms, you talk about schools, you talk about rural village. Now, a lot of people, millions of people, I would say, they're already getting benefited by drinking those water, which is comparable to any disease-free water that is available in the market. But then this is available in a very, very cheap rate. right? So that kind of water without using any electricity, Livinguard technology is providing to the people. We also talk about like air purification. We can discuss that in detail, but looking into the time, so I will not really touch this in more detail than to what we have discussed before. But then we have a complete range of HVAC filter where we can apply Livinguard technology. You talk about bag filter, you talk about mesh filter or pre-filters. We can apply like any kind of filter to this Livinguard technology, and that is why we can make it like antibacterial, antiviral protection. We're already working with some of our partners in this area who has actually launched their product with Livinguard technology in the market, right? So also the other applications are like healthcare and PPE, which we discussed, like we talked about medical textile, gloves, respirators, face mask. Face mask is something which is very close to many hearts today, because people who have ever used Livinguard face mask once, they would like to use this face mask only. So which this has gained a lot of popularity already in the market. Plastics, for example, like your keyboard, your mobile phones, or anything, any surface like where plastic is being used, you can make it permanent antimicrobial in nature, right? So you can actually add Livinguard technology during the batch process, during the plasticizing process, or also like in terms of in the form of spray. So this actually works. Then also in the paper, we are working with the one of the largest paper mill in India. So there we are treating their board paper and writing printing paper, and they want a permanent antiviral technology on the paper. So we are pretty successful in doing that, right? So this you will have paper in the market where like the teachers, the kids, the students, they will not have a fear to touch, because this Livinguard technology in the paper, they will continuously kill the bacteria and viruses. And then the other industrial areas like transportation, upholstery, automotive, you just name it. So it's there, right? So we can treat because of flexibility. Next slide, please. So we are committed to work 24/7. So this particular slide tells our presence, like we are in USA, we are in Japan, we are also based in Mumbai. Mumbai, we have our R&D center, we have our application center. We are present in Singapore in large way. We are in South Africa. We are in Switzerland, we are in Germany. So the idea of presenting you the slide is like, if you want to really work with Livinguard and the people working in Livinguard, the scientists like who are dedicated to give protection against microorganisms to this planet, then they are very near, like to your location, and we are building up. You will find more location in future, and this is how like we work 24/7. So some of the person is always awake to serve you, right? This is the commitment of Livinguard, right? Next slide, please. This is a thank you slide, although we have not really written thank you there, but then I would really like to thank the organizer, the audience who had been very patient in listening to us. And this is like the mutual, right? The Livinguard is committed to give protection to the people, to the users. And also we learn during this process, we learn a lot, like how do we really improve our technology. So thanks to all of you for your patience listening to our presentation. Thank you very much. And thank you, Q, for organizing this presentation and helping me in changing the slide. Thanks to the organizer, David and Vivienne, for giving us an opportunity here to present ourselves. Thank you very much. Any question? We are available to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amit. Now comes the Q&A session, because it's a bit over one. So may I allow to ask one question for Dr. Amit from the audience? From the slide, it mentioned that it takes around 10 minutes to destroy the contaminant. So is it too long, as the wearer of the mask could be affected by that? Thank you.
So that's a very, very good question, and I'm very, very thankful for the person who is really asking this question. This is a very, very basic microbiology question that comes up, right? And we answer this question. So when we talk about 99.9% reduction, that's in 10 minutes, and this 10 minutes is the is the methodology that is being utilized. So the method or the SOP of the method that defines the timeline. But actually, the Livinguard technology starts working when the first bacteria and virus really land up on the surface. So that is where like it starts killing or destroying or deactivate the bacteria and viruses. But the test method is written in such a way that you have to really look at 10 minutes. But then we have the data where like we have checked the self-disinfecting property of the fabric and the Livinguard technology starting from 1 minute, even in 30 seconds. So we see that the killing starting in 30 seconds and it builds up and going up and up. And in 10 minutes, we see more than 99.9%, right? So this 10 minutes is the way of testing the fabric, which the standards define. But then our internal data says that whenever there's an interaction, the Livinguard technology starts working from that point itself, right? So it is not like we have to wait for 10 minutes to see that kill, but the killing is like continuous. This is like building upon. And finally, at the end of 10 minutes, which is specified in the test protocol, we see more than 99.9% in 10 minutes, right? But beautiful question. Thank you for asking this.
Thank you,
Next
Dr.
one.
Amit.
Sorry, I would like to add on a little bit to Amit's response toward this. So just to give a little bit of more perspective, in just now there is a presentation slides that actually mentions that a sneeze is actually a million times more viral loads. A million times more viral loads that we did in our test compared to a sneeze. So that particular person has to be in somewhere that there's a lot of people sneezing as him at the same time, and then only then we have this 5 logs reduction in 10 minutes, which literally is very rare occurrence. And I will say that if one normal sneeze from one person, which typically average people will feel that this one is too much, and the viral load is much less than expected in this case. So we'll be expecting the deactivations, it happens within seconds in this case.
Thank you, Mr. Q. So
Thank you.
I got another question for Vivienne. So is the Asia Summit on Global Health a hybrid event? So in case of the travel restrictions in November are still in place and the audience cannot fly in, will there be some online components? So perhaps Vivienne can answer that. Vivienne, can you unmute?
Well, at this stage, we will be staging the event in a hybrid mode to cater for all the audience all over the world. But for online audience, our current plan is to provide conference passes for them to access our business matching services, so as to minimize the differences and from physical conference experience. As the situation currently is still fluid, more details will be released closer to the event. And so I suggest those audience or whoever posed this question to visit our website, www.asiasummitglobalhealth.com to look out for the latest information.
Thank you, Vivienne. So because of the timing, unfortunately, we cannot take further questions from the speakers, but nevertheless, if you have anything or if you want to connect with the company, with the speakers, feel free to reach out to me. My email is on the confirmation email. Thank you very much again. This comes to the end of the webinar. Thank you all again for joining, and we shall look forward to welcoming you in our future events. Have a good afternoon. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.